What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Hoop Portal. Today, I'm back with J Rob. We're going to get into some SEC college basketball season preview. Jacob, how are you doing again today?
Man, I'm doing well. I'm excited for college basketball season and a lot to look forward to, a lot of storylines to talk about. It's going to be a good one. I'm excited.
Where do you rank the SEC out of the SEC, Big Ten, ACC, Big 12, Big
Right,
East? Where do
right,
you put them in the standpoint for college hoops?
right now, I'm going to say it's the best conference in college basketball. Part of me really wants to go with the Big 12. ACC's having a down year. ACC to me, they have to show it first. There's a lot of unanswered questions with a lot of the new coaches that are coming in, the Jay Lucases, the Ryan Odoms, what have you. SEC, it's got talent, it's got star players, it's got the best
Got money?
coaches, got money, it's got coaches. I definitely have to go with the SEC right now, and I think there's a lot to look forward to this upcoming year.
Totally agree. I think they are up there. I might go Big 12 because I honestly just really enjoy watching the Big 12.
Yeah, yeah,
But
me
in the
too.
SEC, I think will always feel football to me. But you're right. I mean,
Yeah,
they've kind of proven that they are, and they've
I'm
got the
turning
national
on a big.
champion.
I'm turning on a Big 12 game before I am an SEC game, but I got to give credit where credit's due.
Absolutely. Let's get into it. SEC rankings. I'm going to drop my top five. I've got at number five, I got Auburn coming in. At four, I'm going Arkansas. I think Cal has got more talent. I still don't think he can coach, but he's got talent, and talent wins out.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Kentucky at number three, Florida number two, and I'm going to take Tennessee at number one. And I do think Tennessee will double down. I think they'll get the regular season and they'll get the conference tournament. Where do we differ on those rankings?
So we agree that Florida's second and Kentucky's third.
Okay.
I only did a top three. I have Auburn
You
as
got
my number
Auburn.
one. I got
Okay.
Auburn. I just
Okay.
my favorite. Can I tell you who my favorite player in college basketball
Yes.
is?
Let us know.
I freaking love Tahad Pettiford. I
Okay. All right.
understand Auburn's going to be down this year, right? They lost Chad Baker Mazzara. They lost Janai Broom. But I love Tahad Pettiford. Is this prediction going to come back to bite me? 100% is going to come back to bite me. Auburn's probably not going to win the SEC, but I just my love affair with Tennessee has ended ever since Dalton Connect graduated and they let me down last year. I'm not picking Florida at all, and I can get into my failed hate watch later. Mark Pope, I think, is going to continue to do an excellent job. I think it's a little bit too soon for me to pick Kentucky to win the SEC right now. But if we're having this conversation in February or in the first week of March and Kentucky's SEC regular season champs or their SEC tournament champs, I'm not going to be surprised at all. We were talking about the Ben McCollum sets. I loved the offense Mark Pope ran at BYU. I stole it from my club team. He's done a really good job for Kentucky. And I think it kind of goes under the radar because it wasn't a national championship run, and he's not Coach Cal. He's a soft-spoken, I think he's not going to make the headlines like Cal did, but I think he's doing a fantastic job at Kentucky, and I think Kentucky is going to be a top five to top three team for the next couple of years. But I just think Auburn is fueled by losing last year, and I think they're going to propel themselves into that conversation as one of the best teams in the country headed into this year.
See, I struggled because I almost put Alabama over them. There wasn't really a reason why I did put Auburn over Alabama. I think Auburn is more towards that middle tier, which I guess where do you cut off, top three versus middle tier?
Yeah.
I think with your Kentucky point though, I would not be surprised if they were able to win the regular season or win one of them, regular season or conference. The biggest question I do have with them, and one of the most intriguing players I'm really wanting to look for in the SEC this year, is Jalen Lowe. He's a Houston kid, so there is kind of a background there with that. He's a Houston kid, kind of blew up more towards the end of his high school career, had a really, really good Peach Jam run, ended up going to Pitt, basically gave most of the ACC nightmares. He's an undersized guard. He's making this transfer to Kentucky. If he is able to do what he did in the ACC and do it in the SEC, Kentucky might have one of the better players in the conference. Like that is how high I am on Jalen Lowe. He might not be able to deal with the physicality because the ACC versus the SEC, from a physicality standpoint, unless you were playing Duke, was extremely different. So
Yeah.
I think Kentucky could have a good year. They have a good transfer class coming in. Jalen Lowe is one of those players I'm really looking forward to watching and seeing how he does in the SEC. And shout out to him because he's a Houston kid. My team to watch is going to be Tennessee, though. And it's more so Rick Barnes. Wrong. In his 10 years at Tennessee, they've been lower than a 3 seed in the tournament, in March Madness NCAA tournament, only twice. So if they make the tournament, they are in a top three spot.
Yeah.
He has no Final Fours during this period. Right now, they're on back-to-back Elite Eight appearances. But to me, I feel like you should be saying he needs to get over this hump. But the
Yeah.
school is not feeling like that because they gave him the lifetime contract. But to me, for the talent that has come through there, some amazing teams, the regular season success Tennessee has had, I think it's been extremely underwhelming. And this is more so going to have to come from a Tennessee fan. We know what sport runs that school. It's still the SEC, and Tennessee is definitely ran by football. But to me, and if the fans don't care and that's good, then maybe that is why he got the lifetime contract. For me as a basketball person, though, someone with Rick Barnes' pedigree, someone with his coaching agenda, someone with a lot of success in the regular season, he's not getting it done in the tournament. No Final Fours during that stretch for Tennessee is pretty amazing when you're consistently one of the top. And the SEC isn't on like a resurgence over the last 2 years. Now they have been one of the best conferences. But it's been a tough conference with really good schools for that 10-year period. The Kentucky, the Tennessee, all that stuff is not new. To me, though, for the talent that he has had there, NBA got, well, even though they haven't been maybe great NBA guys, but guys like Don Connect, Grant,
I thought
Meshack,
Admiral Schofield was going to be better than he was.
Admiral. I mean,
Yeah.
they've had so much talent, so many physical teams, and I got to watch them play at Carolina and Dalton Connect's year there, and was pretty close. And again, just the physicality of a Rick Barnes team is present. Why that doesn't translate into the tournament, I don't know. I will say I'm not the biggest Rick Barnes fan. The only reason he's somewhat good with me, is because he absolutely put belt to behind against that Duke team in the tournament. They had no business Duke had no business wanting to match with that physicality. I loved watching every second of that. That was an absolute hate watch because North Carolina sucked that year, missed the tournament.
Sure.
But anyway, okay, that was a hate watch. Now that we've gotten my hate watch shout out, okay, shout out Rick Barnes in Tennessee for that. Please let me hear yours with Florida.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to touch on with Tennessee, though, is it's just a crazy story, for lack of a better phrase, that his career, you're right, that lifetime contract came because they are a perennial top 4 seed. They are a perennial Sweet 16 participant. They are going to compete in the SEC for years to come. His only Final Four appearance came in 2003 when he was at Texas with TJ Ford. So you're thinking one of those years we're going to see a breakthrough here, and he's done a fantastic job for all intents and purposes at Tennessee, but hasn't been filled with as many accolades as a lifetime contract would warrant. And I agree with you. It's going to be interesting this year. They're always going to be competitive and in it, but you're thinking one of these years it's going to be a breakthrough. All right. So my failed hate watch was Florida, and it's for a couple different reasons. Growing up in Florida, I liked more Seminole fans than I liked Gator fans. I cannot get behind the friends that I know that went to Florida. I mean, I guess not friends if I'm saying I can't get behind, their university. The people that I went to high school with that ended up at the University of Florida, not a big fan, number one. Number two, Gainesville versus Tallahassee, obviously both college towns, but I think Tallahassee is superior. I've never stepped foot in Gainesville, but I've been in every single area surrounding Gainesville, and it is just not like we would go tubing in Itchnatuckney, and Itchnatuckney is right outside Gainesville, and that whole area, I'm not buying. And then I'm just not a Todd Golden fan. His off the court actions, not a fan of. Him as a person, not a fan of. I just don't like Florida. I can't stand the Gators. I'm just not going to lie to you. And so the hate watch totally failed last year. I thought that they were going to be on the ropes in a couple different matchups, and they squeaked it out. And I could not believe I was rooting for Bruce Pearl and Auburn. And then of course it was easy for me to root for Houston. I wanted Sampson to get his national championship. Devastated that Florida won, especially with how that last play ended, especially because they were playing well in that game. And I just have blocked it out from my memory, and now we're revisiting it. So I have you to thank. But my biggest question for the season, it's actually the storyline I'm personally the most excited about, even if I was hate watching Florida, Xavier Lee. Transfer guard from Princeton, tore it up in the Ivy League. I am so fascinated with how he's going to do this year. I think it's going to go well, but it wouldn't shock me if it doesn't. And that isn't because of his play. It's just the level of play. Ivy League's a lot different than the SEC. And I think his game translates to the offense that Florida's going to want to run, right? Like he can definitely match what Florida did last year from an offensive standpoint. Is he going to match what Walter Clayton did? It's going to be hard to replicate that, but I'm so fascinated. I'm going to watch a lot of Florida games this year, and especially box score watch, because I want to see what Lee brings to the table for this Gators offense. I really liked him at Princeton. just from like a sensation standpoint, a social media standpoint, his story and his background. I'm not going to, prey on his downfall, so to speak. But if he struggles, I know that that's a reflection on Todd Golden. I hope he doesn't win a single national championship after this. I'm okay saying that part out loud, but I'm really intrigued with what he's going to do for the Gators this year.
Well, I'm glad you're going to watch Florida. I am not watching them because I also do not like Todd Golden.
Yeah,
the only game I will watch Florida play this year legitimately is they are coming to Cameron for the ACC SEC Challenge. So that'll be the game. Watch them against Duke. That'll be a very rare time I am pulling for Duke. It is Florida is at the top of my hate list. Like it would be the Big Ten besides Oregon and Florida. Like that's the whole hate list.
I'm glad we can agree on Florida then.
And Iowa. I'm sorry, Coach McCollum. You're not on the hate list either. So Oregon and Iowa are off the hate list. Yeah. Everybody else in the Big Ten and Florida. Okay, that is where I stand on them. But they did ruin a lot of hate watches because it did feel like a lot of people I know too. Like there was a lot of people that just didn't like Florida. Was it the Todd Golden thing? I think that's probably what basically pushed that. Florida is not the super lovable university as it is, even whether it's football or basketball. I don't like Hakeem Noah. Can't stand him. I will say, though, you do need to give a shout-out to your boy Horford, though, because that is also a Florida boy.
Al Horford, and I'm trying to think if there's any Florida Gator alums. I'm cool with Chandler Parsons, cool with Tim Tebow.
Didn't Corey Brewer go to Florida?
Corey Brewer did go to Florida. If Florida produced Al Horford, then maybe I need to start walking back some statements.
Well, you still hate him. We still hate him.
So the only other point that I had was I think Missouri's going to be my sneaky team. Half the battle is the recruiting battle, and I think Dennis Gates has put together some really nice recruiting classes. He's got 2 top 15 players in the 2026 class. I think that they had a good season last year. I understand it was disappointing that they lost to Drake, but as we talked about on the Big Ten edition, Ben McCollum and what Drake were running wasn't some just lackluster average team that just got lucky for one night. This was a proven team. And I just, I remember the days of, who's the quarterback? I remember the days of Chase Daniel and the Pressey brothers and what Missouri used to be when I was a little bit younger. And then as I got a little bit older, Missouri just wasn't that good. Now I'm starting to think that the football team has garnered a little bit more respect than in years past, and I think the basketball team is right there behind them. I'm really interested to see what Dennis Gates. I have a lot of Missouri fans from the time I coached at Missouri, at a Division II school, not University of Missouri. That would have been pretty cool, but a lot of Mizzou Tiger fans, and I'm definitely rooting for their success, and specifically Coach Gates' success, because I think he is a good coach. He seems very likable and a coach that you'd want to play for. And I think his recruiting classes, any team that has landed a good amount of 4-star and 5-star prospects, I kind of sit up my chair in a little bit, and I'm like, okay, hold on now. I want to see them do well. So I think Missouri is definitely a team for me that I'm going to keep my eye on this year.
The team for me to watch, we've already established, is Tennessee. The coach to me to watch is Sean Miller, coming in replacing RT at Texas. What felt like a match made in heaven with RT when he replaced Beard, and they had that, I believe, Elite 8 run, maybe even a Final Four, I can't remember, but that tournament run with RT, and then he got the full-time job. And then I remember seeing some videos of RT kind of putting his chest out, talking about Chris Beard didn't really do that much, it was more me, and a couple years later, he's gone. Yeah. And to me, I'm really curious now to see Sean Miller post the stuff at Arizona. We've seen Will Wade come back from it. Sean Miller has now come back from it. He had a power conference job anyway. This wasn't like Will Wade when he went to McNeese. Sean Miller coming into Texas. It's a school that has probably just about as much money as anybody else in the country. They've got hotbed college basketball players ready to go that they can recruit from these pipelines from Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Houston. You can get kids to come to Texas. To me, there is no reason for it, and it still feels weird, Texas and the SEC, but to me, there's no reason that this Texas team, or not even this Texas team, this Texas program should not establish themselves as one of the best teams in the SEC. There's too much money. There's too much recruiting pipeline and talent in the state of Texas. There's way too many opportunities. They've built this new stadium that seems awesome in Austin. And Texas, while it is always going to be a football state, there's a ton of people in that state that love and truly care about basketball. Unless your name is Nico Harrison and you're just trying to ruin everything in the state of Texas. You thought we were going to go a preview without a Nico Harrison drop. But no, besides Nico Harrison, you are not saving anything. That
Yeah.
I'm Chili's SEC previews. There is no safe space for you, my guy, and it's your own. It's your own fault. It's your own fault. I can't help you out. All right, Luca forever.
There's this TikTok channel that I watch a lot of basketball content, and he always puts in just a random Braun highlight and calls it Braun Break. I want every podcast that we do to tie in Nico Harrison.
A Nico hate clip every time we talk about basketball. But yeah, no, to me, Sean Miller coming in, he's got just let it go. Sean Miller coming in, he had Arizona. Those Arizona teams were constantly good, but again, they kind of extremely underperformed in the tournament consistently. He kind of did his little hiatus thing with all the stuff that happened from the FBI investigations. He's at Texas. They need to have that up and running. Yeah. And I actually do think that they will turn into a pretty dominant SEC team. I don't think Sean Miller will translate that to tournament success. I don't think Texas cares. I think Texas might be very similar to Tennessee. And if they can just get to the point of we are consistently a top 3 seed that underperforms, but we get to the second weekend, we will take that. If the football team is winning a national championship or contending for it, one, they should probably find a new quarterback. But as long as that is going on, I feel like Texas will be okay. But I do think this is a big year for them to see where Sean Miller can place. I actually have them 10th in the conference, which is not that great. I'm going to give him 1 or 2 year gap period. Yeah. But to me, that is one of the coaches that I'm really intrigued to see how he ends up navigating and shifting that SEC formation there.
100%.
That was SEC preview. Thanks for joining in. Remember, hit the subscribe button to enter your name in the portal. Hit the like button. Turn the notifications on. Get in the comments. Who do you think will win the SEC? Where do you think Texas will end up finishing? Are you also hate watching Florida, or me and Jacob the only ones doing this? Thanks for joining the Hoop Portal. See you guys on the next one.